And we are, terrifyingly enough, actually on time.
Dun 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 dun.
Hello, everybody.
I don't know if it's terrifying anymore, being that this is the third week in a row.
It's scary. I don't know what's going on.
It's starting to become the norm.
It is, and then people are going to get used to it, and then
Never going to be late one of these weeks.
There's going to be expectations.
Throw a fit.
Yeah, no, it's going to be chaos. Well, as you can see, everyone, Manny unfortunately doesn't have a webcam. He is here represented by his glorious Eve Guy portrait. Looks like we are officially in business. Yeah, you can't see Manny. He's going to get his webcam eventually. If he wants to host the entire show, one of these days we're going to give it over to him. One of the things we're looking to do here with the show is just kind of move it outside of the Goonswarm-centric hosting, now that we've actually figured out how to start on time and all that other kind of rocket science. So everyone, Manny, say hello to the crowd.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? And don't worry about the picture. Just imagine a fat neckbeard, and you've pretty much got it.
It doesn't really narrow it down from your usual EVE Online situation. Oh my God, what just happened?
Oh, we got a subscriber.
That is
Lion
already number one.
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
that was so.
We forgot to set up the counter for the sub-train
Some
stuff.
hype, yeah. It's
I don't
okay.
really know about it. Okay, so we have this Hypno Kitten thing that Nystrik kind of talked me into using here. I didn't think that anybody would actually be doing it, but yeah, if you subscribe, you are obeying the Hypno Kitten, and you will also completely... Jesus Christ, stop! You'll be completely interrupting. We're gonna try to do a talk show, and that's great if you want to throw money at us and repeatedly interrupt us and drive me crazy, because...
You need to next week. We need to change the sub icon to the money.
Like throwing money, making it rain. I don't know.
Awesome.
I think I would like that better than the whole kitten gimmick. I think people. I thought people were going to drop the kitten thing, but
no.
Oh,
my God, we got another subscriber.
Ah, God.
You may want to
You should turn the sound off. Just turn the sound for it off.
I was thinking that we would turn the sound off, initially speaking, but I figured we'd just leave it on to try it out, because I didn't think anybody would actually use the damn thing. Again?
It is quite large.
This is well, of course it's large. It's a Hypno Kitten. I was helpless to...
Oh my God, your Andis even subscribed. What?
Yeah, no, this is... Okay, well, I want to actually do the show. I mean, that's great if you guys want to keep spamming the fucking Hypno Kitten in the middle of the show.
Yes.
Fine. I wore my finest red shirt, and you can barely see it.
Rishi and Star Fury, we've got Infer D I. Is it that 3 I's or is it an L? I don't know. I'm bad at things.
I'm terrified. This is going to end poorly. I have
Oh my God, Korean, O'Bannon, Talon, Calais.
Right. So no, not Mittens Kittens. Fuck. Okay. So the meta show. We're going to talk about EVE Online. We're not going to talk about the Hypno Kitten and everybody obeying the Hypno Kitten. We have had a lot of interesting things going on in EVE.
Which is surprising, because it's a little kind of boring.
It has. Well, I guess the biggest news that we had today, this morning, what was 7 hours ago, was Pandemic Legion. Conveniently enough, we have a leading figure from Pandemic Legion joining us here. Killed a Revenant. So PL has finally gotten revenge, is no longer the only people to lose a Revenant. They have now actually whacked one. So Manny, why don't you tell us what the hell happened there?
So there's this guy, and he likes to use the Skynet, which CCP is now banning or getting rid of, to assign fighters to a carrier, and then he will camp wormholes and stuff like that, and just get lots of kills from doing it. Well, Rocket X and our fishing crew are notorious for just stalking so efficiently targets. So it took about 24 hours, and Pit of Smash and Rocket and Ron Mexico and a few other guys from PL stalked this guy and waited for him to log in. They had Hector set up, multiple Sinos, Titans in position. It was a lot of work post-Phoebe, moving all that stuff into position. It wasn't right close to our staging area. It was, multiple light years away.
Right.
So the guy logged in, and they had his spot where he would come out of warp at. Bubble landed on him as soon as he landed from his E-warp. And
oh my God.
came the cavalry.
Oh, rip.
Sorry.
What did you do?
The fucking cat thing went off. Whenever it goes off, the horn goes off in my ear.
Oh, you're fine. It goes off for the stream too, I think.
Yeah.
You should probably turn the sound off.
I'm actually going to
Just disable it. Just uncheck it.
Oh no.
This is getting out of control.
This is completely out of control. Like I didn't realize this. Stop! Jesus Christ! I'm turning off the sound. That is just nuts. Okay. Right. I swear
Okay.
we're good at this. I really didn't expect this to happen. Like I thought that this was going to be
You thought this would be something that people wouldn't abuse?
That's
Do
why I
you
changed-
do you play
changed-
EVE Online?
I didn't think that they would do it if that involved subscribing, because that involves like giving us money. So freaking stop!
No, I changed my sub sound from the from Silent Hill Siren because of the same reason.
This is ridiculous. I've never thought that it would be possible to get trolled by people throwing money at me. It's supposed to be what a server feels like. I don't even know.
That's funny.
Fuck. Okay. So the alert sound should turn off in a minute. I've changed the settings, but I think it's going through like a zillion of you subscribed already. And
Well, in like the last
it's
5
like
minutes,
a queue
we've got a toy, CamWow, Vanilla Moose's Digital
Yeah.
Ebola.
I think maybe we just need to wait for a little bit and let all these cycle
We're almost
through.
through. We've got
'Cause-
3 more. We've got 3 more to go, and
it's just going to spam Hypnokitten at us over. It is literally just Hypnokitten is just going over and over again.
It's got like 2 more, and then it's done.
Apparently, business is good, right?
I guess I don't
Yeah.
know. Like this is the problem about gimmicks that I don't like. Is if I say that I don't like a gimmick, and people get to watch me squirm and squeal on live TV, and not in a sexy way that apparently presses people's buttons. Who knew? Okay, so I think the alert is off now. I think we're good. Manny, why don't we try to have the story about the Revenant again? So you had Rocket X, who's like one of your best fishermen, who's constantly hunting things. And from what I understand, you were saying that the Revenant was assigning fighters. It was assigning all of its fighters from the edge of a POS shield to something else. Was it assigning to another carrier? What was that?
Yeah, so it's assigns to another carrier, and the Revenant gets a huge damage bonus for its fighters, and so he had officer fittings, like the best possible fittings that you can get onto a carrier or super carrier. So these fighters were dishing out crazy amounts of damage with insane tracking, high velocity due to navigation computers. And so this guy would just get like so many kills by using the Skynet playstyle. And Rocket, who I equate to Supercaps as Digi is to people, like he's just scary, like literally scary.
Terrifying.
Like if you do not want Rocket to fix his eyes upon you, because once he does so, you will eventually die. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, Rocket and Penef and Ron Mexico, Mahadan, a few others, we call them the fishing crew. They stalk this guy out for 24 hours. And 24 hours sounds like a long time, but I've seen Rocket spend weeks on stalking somebody down, waiting for them to log in.
That's a little creepy. I mean, I do appreciate his dedication, but that's a lot of man hours.
Yeah, it really is. So the guy logs in. We have Sinos, Dictors, Hictors in place. They know where he's going to land because they watched him log off.
Mm-hmm.
Bubbles go up. Sino goes up. The Titans come in, and it's over before anybody even realizes what's happening because he had no tank fit, not even a damage control. It was just
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was pure 100% damage.
That's the way it works. But I can't believe he logged out outside of shields.
Yeah, like not the smartest of ideas, I would think, but.
No.
Was he under any pressure to log out outside of the shields, or was it just hubris? Like he just thought he was safe, and so he logged off, or what?
Yeah, hubris. He probably thought, "Oh, I'm close to the shields. There's no post Phoebe. It's hard to get Titans and stuff in range that could kill me fast enough." So yeah, he just it was pure hubris.
Huh. Well, I guess that's the usual death of Supercaps and Eve, isn't it?
That's really
pretty much
for him.
Not that you would know anything about that, darling. And that is our first VR5 joke of the evening.
Wow.
Yeah. For those of you who are unaware, this is a subtle segue. Actually, we have
Andy, I just want
both
to say
sides.
it didn't come from me.
Yeah,
So
both sides of the famous Battle of BR5 are here, one on top of each other as far as the stream is concerned. Actually, I suppose I should point over in this direction on my webcam to point that way. Nope, that way. There we go. It's like Hollywood Squares over here. But yeah, both Laz and Manny were last seen together, losing an awful lot of Supercaps and Titans on both sides in the famous Battle of BR5, which is always the background of our meta show. Which is why it's hilarious to have Laz's very large floating head on top of the BR5 screenshot. So we're glad to have you.
It was an amazing fight. Wow. I didn't see it turning out that way when I jumped in, but all you can do is swing. Sometimes you gotta miss.
That's true. That's
as long
true.
as everyone had fun, I guess.
the BR5 was a perfect storm for us. It was early Russian Prime, so we definitely had an advantage going into it.
I had gotten 2 hours of sleep that day because we were in the middle of like
Jesus.
Hell War mode. So like I got Laz calls me actually like straight up. Like I'm in bed getting maybe 2 hours of sleep. It's like 7 a.m. or something ridiculous my time. And Laz starts blowing up my phone. And in the middle of a space war, I know that like when bad things happen, like, you know, when my phone goes off, like
Bat phone.
it's awful basically. So I'm like, oh God. Roll out of bed.
I can't remember if you answered the first call or if I had to call you again.
I think you had to call me
answer.
twice, like because
God.
it was one of those things where like I'm completely zonked out. Like 2 hours of sleep, you're basically completely unconscious.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll call you just to call you, but then if I call more than once when you don't answer, usually shit's real.
Yeah, exactly. If I get 2 calls in a row, like that means that something has gone hellishly wrong, which of course it had because Laz was about to initiate the largest single Super Cat battle in the history of Eve, and I was going to be up quivering like from stress, anxiety, and like trying to marshal everyone behind the scenes for the next 21 hours straight.
Oh my God, that's
which
terrible.
was a little bit.
I forgot that fights take that long.
Yeah, no. Well, most fights don't take that long. I mean, that was the fight to end all fights. So it was a
The
constant.
Asakai took, well, not quite, not that long.
Asakai wasn't that long.
Time.
Like Asakai, like we
Well,
made
see,
the
it
call
wasn't
to
that
pull
long
out.
for you guys, but for those people that were trying to get down there and didn't realize the fight was over yet, and were still trying to make their way down there, it was all long.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what you get.
Yeah.
The
I was
Asakai
not one of
thing
those
was
people.
like Asakai thing was weird because for us, like we gave the call to evacuate and basically try to, you know, cut the DBRB induced losses as quickly as we could. And so that call was made, and with BR5, like it was like 8 hours into the battle before it wasn't until the Sword Dragon Titan situation developed that either side really knew who was going to win or who was going to lose. It was only when that tipping point hit and that was, you know,
That's crazy.
incredible levels of stress and anxiety and tension, and everybody's running around scrambling, doing whatever they can. And it wasn't until Sort's avatar tanked forever. Because, you know, he basically trolled everybody at the previous FanFest hard enough that everybody wanted to primary him, I guess.
Well,
Yeah, by that time I was so dead tired. I had been up for, I don't know, like 36 hours or something crazy.
Oh, you've been
well,
up for
yes.
36 hours before the fight even began? Because
Yeah.
you've been like grinding through stuff, right?
They
Yeah,
had to grind stuff up in drone lands because of Sob Drop.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So by that time I wasn't calling targets, but someone had said, oh, Sword Dragon, he's not logged in, he dropped fleet, he has no bonuses. And the guy that was calling targets at the time decided to go on him and was like, I'm shooting primary in an avatar doesn't seem great, but I'm too tired to argue.
You guys are absolutely melting Ragnaroks at one point. The Russian, like I thought we had lost like 25 Titans, and then apparently the Russians were able to jump out a lot of the primary Ragnaroks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
half the problem with that fight is that nobody really knew what the hell was going on because, you know, a lot of times we would be losing Titans, one side or the other would be losing Titans, not because of actual, like, combat errors or screw-ups, but because they would disconnect and... Oops. Somebody just says, Ninth Saint obeys Hypnokitten. Thank you for joining us. I figured I would turn it down to, like, a little bit of an alert so we didn't miss it, but that also means that we might start getting interrupted again. But yeah, it was interesting because that's one of the toughest things about these big fights in Eve is that like losing a Titan in battle is like an honorable, noble, like elite PvP thing to do. And it's like, if you're going to go out, you want to go out fighting. Losing a Titan in a big battle where other people are going down fighting, but you're losing yours because you got disconnected and all your hardeners turned off. That's kind of shit.
Yep.
It kind of became a little surreal after a while, like just watching that many Titans explode. At first it was like, oh God, Titan died. Oh God, we just killed Titan. But after like 12 hours of it, it's just like, oh, that Titan.
It's really destroyed. Well, yeah.
We had a fucking ping from
every
single Titan that died.
I was there for the entire 21 hours. Another Titan down, another Titan down, another Titan down. It was great. Like I was.
That's nuts.
After a while, I got to be like almost a little hysterical because again, so little sleep and so much stress and everything. So I mean, what I do during a big fight like that, I don't ever unless I'm like running a super carrier fleet and basically like taking out the trash in terms of like grinding soft structures or crap. Usually in those big fights, I'm just there to be like a support coordinator. Like I run around, I like boss reinforcement fleets around. You guys go here, you guys do that. Send broadcasts, just help out as best as I can. And thank you for subscribing, Luminal Flux, who was obeying the Hypno Kitten. But yeah, during that period, it was such a slog that sending those broadcasts for every single Titan that died, and then after that point, what it was like 60 fucking things that we've never really been able to get hyped up about a Titan kill. Like what we lost Kilgarth's Titan to Black Legion not too long ago. I mean, I guess it was more like 5 or 6 months ago by now. But when we lost a Titan, it was just like whatever kind of thing, because after BR5 it's hard to get all hot and bothered. Amusing username, obeys Hypno Kitten, welcome aboard. So yeah, I don't know. Do you still get all hot and bothered about Titan kills, Manny, or has it kind of ruined everything for you?
It's still exciting. I mean, it's definitely still exciting. As many Super Cap fights as I've been in over the years and big battles, like Titan battles and stuff like that, still kind of get your blood flowing and shaking a little bit. So yeah, I still get it. But yeah, I don't think anything can ever live up to B-R. So
I completely agree as well. Like, a Titan kill is still a Titan kill, and it's still prestigious, no matter what size.
I just wish there were fewer of the things. Well, it's interesting because this is sort of a vaguely subtle segue. We're in a sort of a situation now where, with one of the most recent dev blogs that was published in the aftermath of the 07 show that happened the other day this week, CCP did their Twitch show or whatever, announced that there's going to be a few new dev blogs coming out, and they touched on removing carrier-assigned fighters and hinted that super caps in general were still on their radar as far as something to potentially fix.
Well, I hope so. I really hope that that's still on their radar.
Well, I think it's sort of an awkward situation where to hell Necrona, obeys Hypnokin. And I am basically trying not to rage out every time I see that fucking thing. So they, so if I look distracted, it's because I'm trying to regain my composure. The thing about that for me is like the fundamental problem of EVE in terms of its end game for the player base compared to like Diablo or World of Warcraft or many of these other games where like the game begins at the end game. In EVE, you get your Titan, you get your super carrier, and then by and large, you can't really do anything with it unless you get lucky and find yourself in a BR5. And you go like, okay, well, I have this thing, I can't dock it, I can't play my character, I can't do anything with it. This is the end game, and I guess I'll go play World of Tanks.
Well, they did mention during the Head GP Super Cap fight with that Hero and PL had that Fozzie came onto stream on Skype with me, and he mentioned that they're looking at maybe repurposing super carriers and Titans and giving them like a whole new purpose. So
XXL Wolf shirt.
Yeah,
what a good
time,
name.
yeah.
Thank you for the sub.
So I mean, it's a fine line they have to walk with this because how much money these things are worth and how much time and efforts invested in them. So it's gonna be interesting to see when they finally get around to it. Like I think they might just kind of keep shoving it down the line.
Well, it's one of those things where like when they changed, it was Phoebe when they made it so that moving your Titans around was infinitely more difficult, or your supers or whatever. Like I know a lot of people who are just like, then what's the point of having one, and just straight up quit the game over it.
Veldrek Grimm 01, welcome aboard.
So I mean, they've definitely got to be very careful about what they do with changes to those things because they take forever to train into, and they're such an investment, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's going to be really, really hard for them to repurpose them. It needs to be done, but
definitely.
I'm gonna go ahead and quote Furby von Bartelsley here in chat. I mean, one of my attitudes towards supercarrier is very easy fix, which can also be kind of applied to Titans too. Very simple. Remove the EWAR immunity and let the fucking things dock. That's a starting point at the very least.
That could be a starting thing.
We'll get to this later, I imagine, but I was at a round table the other day with Nullabur, and that exact thing came up. So, yeah, they're definitely thinking about it. So, yeah, hopefully we'll see the...
That would be nice. I mean, EWAR immunity is like one of the reasons why we've got the whole spider tanking thing going on, and I just hate it. I think it's dumb. More cowbell. Welcome aboard. Thank you for obeying HypnoKitten. This is ridiculous. I don't even know.
Yeah, we really need. I really wish we would have gotten the sub train counter set up. That way we'd have a little counter at the bottom or something.
Is that something that actually is part of the Twitch alerts thing? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know actually. I've seen it on quite a few streams.
Yeah, it most typically is. Like, I watch some League streamers and they have it.
Yeah, they have it. Yeah, I just don't know exactly how to get it to work. I've been trying to figure it out for weeks, but I don't know. And I'm not good at this kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, we're not going to do that in like doing it
the process.
live.
Yeah, let's not do it live.
Yeah, let's
hold on, guys. Let us Google.
Yeah, let's really quick like hot fix our stream here because what could possibly go wrong? Anyway, so I don't know. I would like to see them take action on it. It's just like you get into the in-game ship and then you basically quit because your character is in a space tomb and there's not much you can do about it. And with Phoebe, like there's really not much hot block action going on. PL, Manny's alliance, probably did the smartest thing at all before Phoebe, which is to just ditch all of their space, sell it away.
I loved that attitude. They were just like, you know what? This is just fuck it. Just, you know what? Fuck it.
Like our guys, we like flags and stuff, but that's because we're not an elite roaming alliance, so we still have space, but on the daily I'm kind of like, fuck, like why don't I just copy what you guys are doing?
Yeah, at least Randolph, our glorious leader, decided let's just dump it all and live the dream. And we just walked away, and I tell you what, I was really happy that we did, because wow, that just seems like too much work.
Wildest dreams.
Well, it is something that sort of is a concern when we're going into discussions about a SOV revamp, because the fundamental attitude, it is in fact a segue, but I think at this point when it's me talking about SOV, it's not just a segue, it is the spin zone.
Probably.
So welcome to the spin zone. One of the fundamental issues that people who don't live in SOV territory, have never managed alliance, don't understand is the cost-benefit ratio. The issue with SOV currently is when you have probably the most high-skill alliance in the game, that being not the CFC, obviously, but being Pandemic Legion, are saying, you know what, this is just not worth it. Why even bother? What worries me about a SOV revamp is a lot of times people are like, SOV is too valuable, but everybody who actually lives here is going, why the fuck do we even have this? People aren't fighting over it anymore. Everybody has more than enough space, and, I think that if you want to have tension, you want to have conflict, the space needs to be made more valuable. But that's evil spin zone stuff because I have lots of territory, our alliances have lots of territory, or whatever.
It comes down to there has to be a reason to take it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, space needs to be more valuable, and there needs to be reasons to be there that are meaningful. And so I'm really looking forward to this SOV revamp. I've heard things rumored, like terms King of the Hill will be more about what SOV fights are about.
I've heard basically
I like
rumors.
King of the Hill.
What do you mean by
that?
King of the Hill?
Explain.
From what I've heard rumored, is it's less about structure grinding and more about controlling grids or points and stuff like that. So yeah, it sounds pretty exciting. But yeah, I mean, it's a sandbox.
Sounds like you have better sources than I have. I've got basically nothing about this. I haven't heard King of the Hill or any grids or points. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, so it's a sandbox MMO. I mean, so the game thrives when there's interaction. So you need people in space doing things, but currently there's no reason to do anything. I mean, other than show up for a timer to defend it or fight over it, what reasons do you have to be in space doing things? I mean, you can have a jump freighter pilot one guy and a couple Sinos whisked back and forth to Jita and get everything you need for nullsec, And I mean, there's no reason to be in space doing things other than, well, I'm bored. Let's just undock and like see if we can make something happen. I mean, that's it. So yeah, they need to give us more reasons to be in space. They need to give us more reasons to want to be out in Nullsec and like live there. And those need to be monetary and economic reasons and excitement and so yeah, I mean there's a lot of potential for them to get the new sob system right, but then there's also the kind of
classic CCP move.
Yeah, CCP. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new sob system. I like Prey. Like my number one thing I want to see in Eve is attrition style warfare. So I'm hoping that'll be.
Well, that's certainly relevant to my interest.
That's bad because Goons will win. That is a terrible NPL. But yeah,
Manny and I were talking about it last night, and and actually I was talking about the Sardcade and a couple other people.
Oh god, there's Hypno
Kitten again. But this. What made Eve fun for me was the battleship versus battleship fights, the huge battlecruiser meat grinders, and just right now nothing dies in fleet fights, and I want to see Eve get back
unless
to where
bombers.
Huge amounts of deaths on both sides.
I love brawling, like warp in, just duke it out to the last man. That's the most amazing thing ever.
That's the old like Great War era style fights. It's funny because they were in that blog where they were talking about the possible nerfs to the Ishtars and Tingus and stuff like that. They posted a chart showing that battleships were fine, and then people took that. Yeah, well, they're completely wrong. They took that chart, and players took that chart. This was on Reddit that I saw, where they had actually took all of the different cruiser class hulls on that chart and stacked them together based upon signature radius. Right, here's the actual cruisers. Like a cruiser isn't a cruiser. A hack is a cruiser. A recon is a cruiser. There's many different types of cruisers, and when you stick them all together, it's basically cruisers online. And pretty much battleships and battle cruisers are way behind. But I don't know how they're looking at this data.
Well, yeah, like you've got cruisers, you've got Tengus, Ishtars, and bombers. That's what that's it.
Yeah, I think
no battleships.
I think Rise and Fozzie and Olibar and Seagull, they're all really brilliant people, really smart. I think they need to do a dev guest tour where they come fly in Lazarus fleets and my fleets and, maybe Blue Isis fleets over at Brave Newbies and actually see what happens in actual these nullsec fights, because I think their perception of what we're doing and what's happening is grossly inconsistent with what's actually happening. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there are CCPers that actually play the game, and they are in these major fights and stuff like this. Just they can't let anyone know who their actual character is because of the whole T70 or whatever, the T2 BPO stuff that happened way back then. But
I realize that, but apparently they're not writing up after action reports or paying attention to what's happening on grid, because sometimes I feel like CCP doesn't quite understand what we're doing out here and what exactly is happening.
I think that's a very fair point. Sorry, Nystrik, you go.
No, it's fine. It's sad for me too because I came into the game right as battle cruisers were kind of on their way out, battleships and stuff like
the old Drake era. Yeah.
Well, the Drake, yeah. I trained into the Drake and I trained into the Maelstrom, and right as I got able to fly those things in some sort of competent manner, they got nerfed into the ground, and Alpha Fleet died, and Drake Fleet died, and all the other fleets that had battle cruisers within that couple months span there just died. And I was like, okay. I just spent a lot of time training this, but that's cool. I like A-hacks. I can fly those. That's fine.
So, Soundwave back in the day said that was intentional, that they want the meta to shift every so often, and that they intentionally like doing that. So,
and I get that. I definitely get, you want the meta to shift, you want people to fly different ships, and you want it to be interesting, but it's like, I was just able to fly these things. Why?
Well, there's been kind of a sea change at CCP in terms of the people who are actually there. I mean, Soundwave is no longer there. A lot of the other CCP devs are no longer there that used to be during that era of shifting meta. We've seen a fairly, it's pretty much been Ishtars and Sentry. It's basically been Sentry drones and Tingus online in one flavor or another. Sometimes you might have Dominixes or Prophecies instead of Ishtars. Ooh, right?
Yeah. Super diverse.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's a pretty good segue into into the changes that were posted at the 07 show. Actually,
yeah. Do we want to talk about the Ishtar change and the Tinka change?
Yes, let's do that.
We'll talk about all of them, really, because I mean,
we're already on the way to that.
Well,
so let's
first
let's
of all,
talk about
death to drone assist of all kinds. I mean, drone assist has been a stupid mechanic forever. The idea that this is my total soapbox, but I've always been saying, but of course, it helps Goon, so that's why he's complaining. The idea that you should be able to project power on a hostile, hurt them with no risk to your own ship is stupid. And so carriers being able to assign things, all of that drone assigned stuff is dumb. So finally seeing people recognize, hey, maybe, the CFC hasn't been talking out of their ass when they say drone assist sucks and actually removing the carrier sign. Wow.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I'm on the opposite side of the ball over the last few years from the CFC. We fought a lot, and I generally agree with most of what you guys say, especially with the drone assign. And I created Slowcats, we abused it to infinity, but I actually hated drone assign because it made the whole experience of using Slowcats so boring because you assigned your drones and you basically did nothing. How is that a dynamic experience? How is that fun or entertaining? It wasn't. So I'm happy to see it. Fun.
Yeah, I'm happy to see it go, but while it was there, it is fun being the finger of God.
Yeah, the one person in the fleet gets to have fun, and everybody else. Yeah, I mean, it's great being the trigger. It's wonderful. I actually did it a couple times myself on our carrier fleets in the Halloween war, and it was it's wonderful. You press a button, and then suddenly whatever you're pointing at vaporizes. But you have a fleet of 249 people twiddling there, going, "Okay, Mittens, I'm glad you're having fun. We're gonna go play FTL in the other window or play some other game." Any situation where you have a game design aspect that incentivizes the players of your game to leave your game open in one window and go play another game.
The hit button in AFK, yeah.
Yeah, not so much, not so smart. I've got a quick story about that. So I had been trying to talk Elise and the Shadoo into using Slowcats when I first posted the whole concept of it. And they were like, "Oh, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think this is going to work." So finally there was a final station timer, and it was a friendly station where we could use them. And I talked them into using it, and we had Elise be the finger of God. And I can just remember about 30 minutes into the fight, Shadoo asked Elise, are these working? And I'll never forget Elise said, "Holy dicks, these things are amazing." And so that was kind of a good moment. I'll never forget that. It was great.
I just heard you say that in his voice, which would have been giddy and
right?
Yeah,
would have been like a kid in a candy store. This is working. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, in addition to the change on carrier fighter assign, which is great, who get rid of fighter assigning drones is all kinds is dumb. They also finally took another whack at the Ishtar, because apparently the first time they took a whack at the Ishtar, how long ago was it that they changed the original Ishtar nerf by only 2.5% or something?
I think it was over a year ago.
It was a long time ago, and we have we were all using Ishtars and Sentry drones then. We're still using Ishtars and Sentry drones, and I don't think that the consensus that I got from my fitting team and the Goonstorm Directorate was basically okay, great, this still doesn't really change anything. We're still going to be using these things because they're still ridiculously optimal even after the change.
Well, even after these changes, I don't think that's going to go far enough with the Ishtars. Ishtars are still going to be the primary ship you see for the medium-sized stuff, and then you're also still going to see Tengus at the major things.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they just didn't go far enough with the posted changes at this moment. Not to say they can't change, but one of the big things...
Sorry.
They have to hit bombers if they want to change the dynamic of fleet fights, and otherwise it's just going to be low sig, high tank, damage platforms.
But they don't want to change the bomber thing because battleships are fine, as we discovered from the graph. So this is actually...
By fine, they mean not used, then sure.
Well, bombers are fine in what they do. The issue with bombers is they're too easy to use. There's no tactical hindrance like before, whenever you couldn't be X amount of meters close to each other where you end up decloaking all your bombers.
Right.
Where because it would take a while for them to get reset up after a bomb run, which as an FC, you can look at that and say, hey, they just dropped their load. It's going to take them a little while to get reset up. So then you have like 5-10 minutes before they can actually get back in position and bomb you again, and then you have those minutes to be free around the grid and actually maneuver and fight that way. So I think having the capability of a fleet of ships to instantly wipe off your entire fleet with bombs is good, and it kind of counters blobbing to a degree. But right now, at this point, it's just way too easy to use them.
They almost nerfed
totally
that.
agree.
I mean, they almost got rid of they thought about it, they announced it, that they were going to have bombers going back to being able to decloak each other. Cloaked ships would decloak one another if they're within like 2 or 2.5 kilometers of one another in the game. And then they backed off that, and then they actually, I think, like raised the rate of fire for T2 bomb launchers or something. So it was really like they almost got there. The issue that I see with this is not so much just the bombers thing. What concerns me the most is actually the graph and the data, right? Here's the thing. People, when they think that player feedback is biased due to emotion and what have you, that's an entirely reasonable point. Players always complain when something gets nerfed or some nerf isn't going too far, what have you. So you would want to have a reasonable reliance on data and hard statistics and things like that. But the thing is that there's damn lies, and statistics. And when you see a chart saying that battleships are fine because if you take all these cruiser class hulls and spread them out separately depending on their type, the battleship is at the end of the wedge, without realizing that if you stack them all together, everyone is using cruiser class hulls with different variations. Yep. That is concerning. That's an argument and a design decision based upon looking at hard data and statistics in a way that's just flat out erroneous. So,
yeah, I completely agree.
We'll see. We will see. But whatever, it means it's easy for the CFC because, everybody's lazy. We're all using cruiser doctrines anyway. So, hey, we don't have to change anything. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also nerfed...
deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Boat is wiped, so he's been the only successful bomber FC post Phoebe.
Boat has been really on a tear. We haven't had that many big battles recently where he's done his thing. But there was a period about a month and a half ago where Boat was just wiping out an entire fleet. Every other day, 100 Ishtars would just vanish because they got boated, which was hilarious. Good on
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
But the Tengu, I don't know what they were like. Why do we need a 3% shield recharge buff on the Tengu?
No.
Yeah. Wow.
Tengus have been as good as long as I've been playing Eve. They've just been situationally good, which is kind of what you want in a ship. You don't want a ship to be, we'll just take out these. It doesn't really matter what they're flying. Just form up this.
Well, I mean, the fact that you can change them on the fly depending upon the doctrines. Because, there have been periods where you train everybody in your alliance or coalition into a Tengu, and then you make sure that they can have either rail or missile skills. And then if the game changes or the meta changes slightly, you can even have two... We've done this before in the Fountain War, I believe. We would have one Tengu fleet on the field with rails and another Tengu fleet on the field with heavy assault missiles.
Yep.
And they work in a very complementary way. So the fact that you can change them on the fly means that they might change a subsystem, but the dominance of the Tengu is unlikely to be changing anytime soon.
Yeah, PL's been flying Tengus for 4 years straight in one variation or another, so it's just testament to how overpowered they are.
The ridiculous thing is they're so cheap. I mean, here's the thing, is in theory, a Tengu is an expensive ship to lose and to fly. In practice, because they don't die from an alliance and coalition perspective, they're actually one of the most cost-effective doctrines from a mass coalition level compared to battleships or cruisers or anything else. Because a ship that you don't lose is a ship you don't have to reimburse. So there's a high initial cost for the individual pilot to first get in them, but then they just coast along and it's all good.
Yeah. And me and Laz were talking about this. Just these fights these days, you lose 5 Tengus and suddenly people want to leave the fight, so it's not very exciting fights.
Yeah, you start losing a couple Tengus, or you say out of the 35 logistics that I brought, I'm down to 10 or 15. Time to leave. And
you see fights where everybody loses logistics on one side, and then the moment that they realize that they've lost their logi, because you're not going to start chewing on a Tengu until you've killed the scimitars.
For sure.
Yeah.
Then they're like, okay, well, we lost. We're losing scimitars. We can't hold them up. We're out, and that's it.
Yeah, well, and I hate the way they decided to deal with medium rails in regards to Tengus, and instead of nerfing the ships that they are extremely good on, like Mena suggested in the dev blog, they went and they nerfed railguns flatly, like medium railguns across the board. So any ship like Thoraxes or other medium railgun ships, now they're getting penalized for the ships that are abusing railguns at the moment.
Yep.
And the problem is the hull. The issue isn't so much the weapon system. And that's the same problem with in the case of sentry drones, the weapon system is partially the problem, but most of the problem of what makes them so ridiculous on the Ishtar is the hull bonuses on the Ishtar. Same deal with the rails on the Tengu and the way in which that's such a versatile and tough ship. It's crap to see a ship like, the Thorax getting hit with the same, thing that, the Thorax isn't the problem.
Yeah, that happens. That happens in every game. Like someone sees a problem and they go, "Okay, this is how we're going to fix it," and then for whatever reason, they just don't think about how this blanket fix problem is going to affect the other things that also use this that are not as problematic. In the case of this, it's frustrating to see people don't consider the way that their changes affect other things within their game, or their other ships, or their other classes, or whatever else you want to call it. Because it happens in literally every game I play right now, and it's like the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, I don't really know. We're gonna have to just deal with that. Hopefully they'll look at the data in a more accurate way. I mean, the guys on Reddit picked up on it instantly and shoved the charts back in CCP's face and said, "This is what the data should actually look like." And hopefully sanity will prevail. I mean, at least instead of just implementing these changes, there are threads and the features and ideas sub-forum on the official EVE Online forums where people can say, like, no, battleships are not fine. No, this is not actually going to change the Ishtar meta, but whatever. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, we're starting to see a lot of these things get released in the run-up to FanFest. I mean, we had the tutorial changes that were announced previously with opportunities. Good stuff. Big fan. It's nice to see them addressing carrier fighters. I'm a big fan of that. The Ishtar and Tengu stuff sucks, but it's not a huge surprise. They barely nerfed the Ishtar last time, and they barely nerfed the Ishtar this time.
Well, the changes they made is they cut the damage bonus in half from 10% to 5%, which, that's going to help some with the damage because they were able to project damage at 100k so high. But I think the changes to the range of bouncers only affects them by about 10 kilometers or so. In their effective range. And the one of the biggest things about Ishtars is they don't give a fuck about dropping their drones at 100k. They drop them 50k off you, then they burn to 100k with their 120k drone control range or whatever it's at right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the algorithms, they use the position of the drones, not the position of your ship, when it comes to the DPS of those sentries. So if you lower the optimal of those drones, all they're going to do is just drop them closer and burn away. Like it changes to where they can't just burn a 100-kilometer circle around their orbit around their drones. But other than that, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's kind of a small change. Like I don't really see it affecting the meta too much. It's just people are going to use them a little bit differently, like Last said, but it's just going to be the same thing.
Well, let's. I guess we don't really have that much to talk about the SOV discussion. We kind of already touched on that. Like, they say that there's going to be a dev blog about that in the next couple of days or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to be early this week, so probably Monday, Tuesday.
So we can maybe find out what Manny's inside sources are saying about the whole King of the Hill
thing. I look forward to finding out.
Well, I mean, that's kind of an unusual phrase, King of the Hill, because I mean, we currently have a situation like the fundamental point of Dominion SOV compared to the old POS-SOV system is with the POS-SOV system, you could have multiple battles in a single system over different points of conflict, i.e. You would have a fight at this POS or this POS, sometimes simultaneously because multiple towers would be coming out at different times.
Right.
In Dominion SOV, with the rare exception of the SBU DPS race, usually speaking, the core Dominion SOV battle is one single point of conflict where both sides bring everything that they have to that one single point. And so when Manny uses the phrase King of the Hill, that's like, well, how different is that going to be? I mean, sure, we can wait for the blog, but if we have a system where both sides bring as much as they can, to one single point in time, then that's essentially just a different variation of what we already have at a strategic level.
Right, but it's King of the Hill on top of the already hinted at what CCP has said, where they're trying to spread out fights. So it
Whatever
might
that
be.
means.
Well, it means that they're, obviously the phrase is self-explanatory.
Right.
So will it be like King of the Hill with various points at the exact
Are
same
there going to be
time?
like
So
5
you
or 6
can't
different
take-
hills? Yeah. That
So
would
you
be
can't
interesting.
take all of your stuff and throw it at one hill. There's too
No.
many of them, and you've got to strategically pick or spread your forces.
Yeah, and pretty much like I haven't really received any inside information. All it was is I asked a bunch of CSMs and they all say the same thing, NDA. But
Wow.
the only thing they have said is get used to the term King of the Hill.
Well,
I
Interesting.
like the,
looks like I
like
need
the
new
foreboding.
CSMs, I guess.
I like it.
I'm apparently missing out on
Yeah.
the good stuff. Regardless, though, let's go ahead and what else do we have going on? There's something that I wanted to hit, and suddenly it just started escaping me. CSM stuff. That's actually a
Yes.
perfect segue, as it were, into the entire discussion of CSMs.
Yes.
Vote for Andy.
Clearly, some of
Vote
them
for Andy.
vote for Andy. I think a lot of people are actually voting. I saw some broadcasts the other day from Noli Secunda, I think, suggesting that people should vote for Zenuria, which I think would always be an entertaining option. But yeah, people have published. Voting has begun this week. This is CSM 10, I guess, with people fighting for the opportunity, including our guest Manfred Sideous, fighting for the opportunity to be an unpaid business consultant for CCP. In return for essentially no compensation and trips to Iceland to.
Yeah, that's compensation.
Well, no, they removed the FanFest.
Yeah, you
Oh.
don't get
send
you
CSM
don't
to
get the
FanFest
free
anymore.
FanFest
Useless.
thing anymore. So
Rip.
basically, you get sent to if you get sent to Iceland.
Manfred's like, why am I even running? Fuck this.
Yeah, it's like, what am I
Just
doing?
put my name out.
Wait a second.
Don't you get like a free year sub for your like CSM account or something?
Yeah,
I guess
usually you
that's cool.
do, but like
There you go. That works.
yeah, no, I mean you can. They're certainly doing it for personal gain is not something that any sensible CSM should ever do because it's a lot of work.
But my e-profile, guys.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'm just like you guys and most of the people watching this stream. I love the game and so I want to play it for a long time. So
No, what I mean, and that's what's important. And that's like, we talked about this last week. We want, like, for me personally, like, that's what I want the CSM to be. I want people who take this game seriously to go, CCP, I play this game. Fix it. This is how you fix it. Look, see this? Fix it.
yeah, or at least say this is the problems. Can you give us some solutions?
Yeah, this comes up, right? Actually, it's kind of a funny dynamic when you have somebody who's been on the CSM and somebody who has never been behind the curtain, and it's kind of this interesting like thing. So like you'll see, we're big fans of your run. You're on our ballot, I believe, on the CFC. I'm not sure whether you are, but I'm pretty sure you are. I know that.
Oh yeah.
I'm the leader
You're
of
fairly
my
high up
alliance.
on it, actually. But Scion is a sort of a grizzled CSM veteran at this point, and he just doesn't even bother with pretty words. He just kind of drops straight real talk about what the situation is. Usually, incoming CSMs, people who've never done it before, have an idea of what it's going to be like, and they have this kind of like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed attitude towards it, and they get there. And it's going to be interesting to see in sort of a I'm going to be mildly amused and ha 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 perspective because I'm a dick to see what happens when the new crop gets in there and finds what the reality is like. But I mean, if you can manage to make it work with just transparency and speaking to them honestly and earnestly, and then they'll listen and everything will be fine, then you're basically Space Jesus.
Yeah, I'm under no illusions. I know it's about CCP's agenda and trying to give intelligent, meaningful feedback to their agenda is 99% of what I'll be doing, and so I'm ready for that. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people go in with the idea, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, and you see all these posts and CSM threads. I'll vote for you if you can get this done. If you can get that done. All right.
Yeah. No, but I mean that's still important. Like if CCP comes out with an idea that's just like ridiculous, at least the CSM could be like, no.
Well, it didn't really.
Hopefully, it works one day. Hopefully, that's the goal, right?
As long as we don't have to shoot any monuments in Jita anymore, that's progress. But yeah, I don't know. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the STV model. The STV model, we have. As usual, the block voting rosters. I'm curious to see what the turnout is going to be this year compared to last year, because I think last year had one of the worst turnouts in history in terms of people bothering to vote.
They tweeted about it yesterday, where last year at this time there was 14,000 votes and they were already at 20K, I think.
Oh, that's good.
Well, there you go.
So there's at least a little bit more intensity and discipline in the blocks. Usually, the way it works in terms of voting patterns. Not that I am an expert in this or anything, that usually the biggest spike at the start of CSM is from organized voting blocks pushing their people. So you'll see a huge spike right when the voting opens, and that's when the null blocks are doing their things. And then there's sort of this gradual trickle of handfuls of votes here and there as HiSec and other people who normally don't pay attention to it sort of trickle in.
Yeah, I hope people vote. And there's a lot of hype about, the CSM is useless, blah, 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 blah. They don't accomplish anything. But really, the way that I think people need to look at it is you're sending 14 people to go listen to what CCP is planning on doing and tell them if they're retarded or not retarded. So your voice and picking those 14 people is kind of important to send people that actually understand the game, can communicate effectively. And, so... hopefully we have a good turnout in the CSM election.
Yeah.
Well, at the very least, I'll be pleased to continue to see Scion sort of dropping real talk bombs, because he just. Let me see if I can pull this out here. I've
been enjoying his posts and his articles. Like they're interesting to read nonetheless.
He's just completely dispensed with any kind of bullshit, basically, or facade. It's like. Yeah, the big issue here is all of the nullsec revamps that are coming up when you've got a situation where the people who are doing the nullsec revamps have never had anything to do with actually running or having anything to do with a nullsec alliance.
Yeah, that's a little problematic.
That's going to be fun. Yeah. It's a black box situation. Like, when you one of the things that's changed in terms of the design crew over there is there used to be a generation of CCPers who were fairly who had block experience and knew how alliances worked. And maybe they do. I mean, maybe CCP Rise is secretly in Goonswarm and is actually one of my directors. I would have no idea. But
it's me, actually.
Yeah, it's actually you. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I don't want to be too bitter about it, but unfortunately, my tone of voice is kind of.
Isn't that your kind of semi-permanent state of mind, bitter?
I don't really think of myself as bitter, as just sort of usefully skeptical. I mean, because we saw a lot of hype about the Dominion system, and we saw a lot of confirmation bias is easily one of the most powerful forces in EVE, and you saw a lot of people reacting to Phoebe. I don't know whether you guys remember this. If you were reading on the forums, player reaction in some quarters about what Phoebe was going to do in terms of politics really betrayed a fundamental misunderstanding of even the basic mechanics of how political groups, blocks, coalitions, allies, all of it works. So when Phoebe was coming, people were like, oh my god, the blocks are going to disintegrate, it's going to be the end of the world, this is great, woohoo, this is wonderful. And what it did in practice was actually solidify them and make them easier to defend.
Exactly what I was saying.
Fortress Declan.
No, it's not. And I was like, yes, it is. So just keep the capitals at home and defend it. That's it. Done.
That's what worries me. Is
social paradigms will trump any game mechanic anytime ever, always.
Whenever the anniversary for B-R rolled around, everyone was like, so there's going to be another big super fight. And I was like, did you guys see the 6-hour Pandemic Legion 15 jump move?
Did you guys see when Black Legion tried to move? We are not logging in our supers.
Literally smallpox blankets for everybody member in fleet. It was literally the Trail of Tears.
That was basically like a Viliop, but worse. I mean, we thought we had a bad Trail of Tears moving our caps because we're idiots before Phoebe, and you guys are the experts at actually moving caps around, and you had a worse Trail of Tears. Like that was kind of a thing.
Yeah, we've since optimized moving a little bit better, so it's easier now that we've learned some. But the first move, we were like, oh, let's take these 3 or 4 gates and save some time, and that way we don't accumulate a bunch of fatty gay. And yeah,
so that's a good way to say that.
I like it.
So one of the things, like here's just a little rant and a tangent because that's what I get to do on my show.
It's French, by the way.
So anytime there's a relative competition between organizations, you end up with a burden that is equal on those 2 separate entities. You give a guy who's a fucking power lifter 100-pound weight, and you go to the guy who's never lifted a day in his life and say, here's 100 pounds. It's fair to both of you. What happens? The guy who's the power lifter is like, well, okay, whatever. I have this weight. This sucks. Sure enough, I'm carrying more weight. You've put a burden on me. And the guy who's never lifted before has just broken his hand and dropped it. So when you have an equal nerf on 2 entities of different strengths and the nerf is the same, the relative power differential between those 2 organizations changes, right? So this is one of the reasons why Phoebe was such a mess and why people in their heads, they're like, oh, fan fiction, like this is going to nerf blocks and blah, blah, blah. They don't understand how it works. They're thinking of it the wrong way. Oh, it's a big nerf. Well, sure, it sucks for PL and for the CFC or whatever, but for everybody who is not the PL and CFC, people who do not have the kind of institutional knowledge that these entities and the brain trust that they have, they just got obliterated. So any sort of attempt to bring more people into nullsec to reduce the impact of blocks, you need to make it easier for smaller entities.
Yep.
Easier, not harder, not nerfing, buffing, but they're not going to do that.
No, they never do.
I will be shocked if they do. I will be absolutely shocked because
that's never the answer.
It defies the conventional wisdom, and the conventional wisdom is stupid. But whatever.
I mean, this is true in any game. When someone looks at and I'm gonna, because my only real form of reference is League of Legends, because that's all I fucking play. You know, when someone looks at a champion, they go, "This champion is too overpowered. Why don't I just nerf this item?" Well, just nerf. Like, what? Just buff all the other champions and bring them up instead of, like, nerfing this champion or this item into the ground. Just, like, bring everything up together. But that's too hard and too much work, so people just turn to nerfing things.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is everybody just looked at the changes from Phoebe and jump fatigue and everything in its own little separate vacuum, and instead of looking at, like, the general picture. And when everybody was really upset about Phoebe and there was mass panic and people were threatening to unsub and everything, I said, you need to really pay attention to the roadmap that Seagull's put out, and when you look at it in that context of where they're heading, like the changes in Phoebe make sense, but it's a little bit of a painful road getting there, and so we'll see. I mean, ultimately, we're talking about CCP here, so
right.
But we'll see. I think
I definitely hope they come back and take another look at the jump fatigue and everything change, all the jump changes, and maybe tone them down slightly.
At the very least, back off the fucking logistics nerf. Like that's we're talking. Manny's point earlier was about, or was it Laz talking about how nerfing the railguns instead of the Tingus hurt the thorax, and everybody else was using railguns.
Yeah,
like the Phoebe nerfs. This is the dumbest thing ever. You have an entire group of people who serve their communities doing jobs that nobody else wants to do. Those are your logisticians. They do a ton of work. They provide the content for everybody else. And because you're mad about power projection of warships, you're going to implement a jump fatigue mechanic, even at only 90% of it, on Rorquals and jump freighters and other things, because let's screw over Logi guys who provide the content for everyone else, because they're really part of the power projection problem. It's absolutely like fleets of Rorquals and jump freighters are shooting across the galaxy, teleporting and winning Sov wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what the?
Like, don't you pay attention? Like, come on, hello.
I don't even know. Like, if they wanted to walk back some of the Phoebe changes, I'm fine with a light year nerf. I'm fine with all of the changes involving, like, jump fatigue. Your opinion of it or not doesn't really matter. What sticks in my eye is the fact that the Logi guys got screwed over for just no reason. Because, it's a jump drive. It's just the same as a combat carrier as part of a massive blob of spider tanking carriers teleporting across the galaxy. Like, what? Anyway, not that this pisses me off or anything like that.
No, that you totally come across as really like level-headed and calm.
I try. I'm.
Just to look ahead a little bit, I think where we're going to be headed to is a situation where you produce more locally and you kind of depend more on the resources that you have available locally. And when you get to that type of situation, the whole logistics of jump freighters constantly moving back and forth to trade hubs becomes less of a thing, and that I think that'll improve the quality of life for logistics people. Like, I agree, Rick. Like, right now, it's completely AIDS. The amount of work and effort that logistics pilots have to put in.
I love the real talk. It's true, though. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but if we get to a point to where things are done locally, then it's not as much strain on your logistics pilots, and it leads to another thing. Having people in space doing things is good for everybody because it gives so many chances for activity and interaction, and that's the cornerstone of any MMO. So, especially a sandbox.
That's one of the reasons why I'm always a big advocate of occupancy solve, is some sort of system where you had like an index or something based upon pilots actually in space, because you want to incentivize people living in the space, working in the space. It's the whole farms and fields thing, like buffing territory such that it makes more sense to locally produce. I mean, we've actually done enough upgrades through Declan now that I think our market hubs regularly rival JITA in terms of the amount of stuff that's just internal to that. Which is great. It makes life easier for our Logi guys. But then again, that's one of those, equal weight relative competition situations where like our guys have figured it out and spent a ton of time, figuring out how to set up that local market such that our logistics people aren't like freaking out and quitting the game in droves over what they did.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, you guys are really well positioned. But the flip of the coin is once they get to this new vision of what they want the roadmap to be, you guys will probably require a lot less space. With the Phoebe changes, it's going to be much harder to move around willy-nilly. So I think everybody will start to give up space that they don't necessarily need or can't utilize, or is perhaps prohibitively expensive. And that'll open up new areas for these new upstart groups to come in and use and utilize well, and make it cost efficient for them to do so. And then you have much more entities in nullsec doing things, or at least that I think this is the vision that they want to.
Theoretically, that was what will happen.
Theoretically, yes.
But air quote CCP. So I mean, but with that said, I love Siegel. I think she's got a big, huge, hairy set of lady balls, and
completely agree.
And I have more faith now than I've had in a long time. But in the back of my mind, I still remind myself, hey, wake up, CCP. So we'll see.
Let's wait before we get excited.
Well, I mean, there's no question that Siegel has been a very effective manager. Like, basically, ever since she was given the executive producer job, she has managed to take this game and implement a whole bunch of changes that would have been heretical under previous administrations, and has done a fine job of that. So let's not talk about our concerns about the game design system impacting our views on Siegel, because she's great, big fan. One of the things that I've seen in Null, and I'm not really sure whether Manny or Laz agree with me, the collapse of the Renter Empires, essentially, like, we're seeing a lot of the old Northern Associates territory going away. One could make the argument, and I kind of do make the argument, that under the current system, everybody who kind of wants space almost already has space. Like, Brave Newbies has territory. There's not, like, people... Like, you could basically go into almost any of the old Northern Associate space and take it if you really feel like it, right?
So isn't worth anything.
Right, exactly. Like, right now, the CFC gave up 3 regions. NC Dot has territory. Like, everybody who wants territory kind of already has it. And people like PL, who had lots of territory, were like, screw this noise. You can have it, whatever. I don't give a shit. We gave up 3 regions. You guys gave up like 7 regions. I really wonder and question the predictions that some people make that magically there's going to be this influx of people who have been waiting in the wings to say take Sov and they just haven't because the space isn't available. There's huge tracts of undefended land in nullsec right now that none of the blocks give a shit about.
Yeah, it's as you say, like they're really going to have to buff nullsec. Like the only way they're going to get people out there is with huge carrots. Like the stick isn't going to work. There's just no possible way that approach is going to work. They're going to have to dangle a huge carrot at people that are currently residing in low sec and high sec and wormholes and say, hey, look at this giant carrot floating in the wind for you to come out and seize for yourself. And if they can do that, that's how they'll improve nullsec.
I don't know about that. I thought that really what we needed to do was basically to remove jump freighters from the game, try to make logistics impossible, and then that way there's going to be this massive exodus of people to move into deep space without logistics, because that's I see
what you did there.
I seriously, like, I don't understand. I've heard that argument.
I think Mittani's a little upset.
I'm waiting for the streamed update so I can see your facial expression.
I have listened to that argument essentially be made by Grayscale at past nullsec roundtables at FanFest year after year after year, and that like if you just hurt Logi guys, then suddenly it'll be like Moses parting the Red Sea, and suddenly all these people in high sec and low sec are going, oh, now you can't do logistics, so I'm going to go colonize nullsec. I wish I was making this up. Anyway, whatever.
So a comment in the Twitch chat about, well, if they wave a big carrot, won't the big blocks just gobble it up? Under an occupancy-based Sov, your activity and utilization of space is relevant to actually holding it. So, yeah, big blocks can hold more space than smaller blocks. I mean, sheer mass, but only to such point. I mean, so, yeah.
Yeah, the big distinction, it's flag planting, right? Like under the Dominion system, you can plant a flag. Like, what was it before Phoebe happened? Basically, PL and N3 had the eastern half of the galaxy, and the CFC had the western half of the galaxy, and we rented that crap out because all we had to do is plant a flag in the ground, give everybody the finger, and go away. If you have an occupancy Sov system, sure, blocks will have, if there's a big carrot or what have you, sure, blocks will probably end up getting the best space because they have the most power, but they won't be able to hold territory if it's designed correctly. They won't be able to hold territory that they're not living in, and that's the big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Vince just messaged me on Skype, and he mentioned something actually a really, really good idea, which is give the South more NPC stations. Because if you look at the north of the map, you have NPC pockets interspersed in the middle of conquerable space and all these different regions. But in the South, you don't have that.
In fact, in general, across the entire East, it's more of a West-East distinction. This is an argument I've been making for some time now, and Vince Drake, the leader of NC. Is, in fact, one, completely right, and two, we'd like to have him on the Meta Show at some future time.
So if you're listening, which I'm sure
if he's talking to Laz, you can hear that. But
he's watching.
It's nuts because one of the reasons why the CFC doesn't stagnate as much, but also while we're at more risk of invasion from a strategic perspective, is exactly what Vince is pointing out, which is there's NPC Sov lousy all across the West, which means on the one hand, it's easy to invade us because you move your territory, you move into the NPC station and launch it as an invasion point, compared to the drone regions in the East. On the other hand, our guys always have content because there's always small-scale battles and stuff coming in those NPC style things. And that's actually a launching point for new entities or smaller entities to have an effect on blocks. I would love to see, and I've advocated strongly for it, to see basically a little pocket, just a single constellation of NPC non-conquerable Sov with stations in the middle of every single conquerable nullsec region, such that you can never completely defend your space. You always have small harassing content. You never can rest easy, like the drone regions where people can just rent out like bumfuck Cobalt Edge and nobody goes there because you can't base there. Yeah, I completely agree with Vince.
Yeah, I mean, it could add real value to a bunch of space. I mean, and you're exactly right. And to anybody that isn't really familiar with NPC space. So you have Fountain Core, you have Syndicate, you have Outer Ring, you have Pureblind, you have
Delve NPC space, beautiful.
Yeah, Venal, NPC space. I mean, people are still able to maintain their SOV. It's not like these NPC pockets are like make it so you can't control SOV there because somebody can just move in and live there. So it's add a lot of value.
All right. Well, I'm very clearly in a ranting mood. I think it's because everybody riled me up earlier with the fucking Hypno Kitten. So I'm gonna actually try to like back down a little bit, take some deep breaths, maybe do a little bit of yoga on live stream.
I mean, it's okay. We're at a point. We've been talking now for just about an hour, just over an hour.
We can start taking some questions.
We had 2 questions that came up earlier. That I guess we can start with, and then have people ask questions in comments in Twitch chat, and we'll find them. One of the questions was directed at you, Manny. Do you think PL will take SOV after the revamp?
I hope not. We really want to try to the whole mercenary shtick, and I'm kind of psyched about it, and I'm hoping post all these changes there'll be more of a market for mercenary groups, and so currently we don't have any plans to take SOV.
Okay, the other question that was in chat, which, this is something that I think, is worth explaining for those that don't know. So the question was, why is the Tengu so much better than the other strategic cruisers? Like, what about it makes it better?
Loony fucker obeys Hypno Kitten. Thank you for subscribing.
So, because of the bomber meta, you have to have a SIG tanking fleet in order to be able to fight in nullsec. So if you look at the T3s, all of them have really good SIG tanks. They're low SIG. But the Tengu also has high EHP, so it can survive long enough to receive reps from logistics. It has good DPS from rails. Its damage projection is good. It can project damage quite reliably out to 100 kilometers, maybe a little bit past, depending on your fit. It has good sensor strength. It has good lock range. It has good speed. It literally does everything a little bit better than anything else, and that's the reason why.
The other question that for Laz and Manny, it's just kind of an interesting question. How do you call targets in super fights?
Go ahead, Manny. You go first.
Tons of considerations.
Yeah.
Is the target within reps? So positioning. What's the target? Like, if you're fighting primarily an armor-based fleet and you happen to see a shield-based ship on the field, well, then it's not going to receive effective reps. So that's probably an easier target. Is this ship providing bonuses? Would removing it weaken the rest of the fleet? Is this ship piloted by somebody else that's calling targets? Removing their eyes from the field, making it easier for you to dominate the battle. I mean, there's a million considerations that go into it. But basically, what you want to do is you just kind of familiarize yourself with what am I facing, what are the biggest threats, and how are those threats affecting my fleet? Like, do I need to reduce DPS? Do I need to reduce Logi? And then you go from there. So it's just basically like just understanding what you're facing and then creating a priority list inside your head and going from there.
I do have to give a shout out here to Joel Snug, who was kind of summarizing the primary process, which was step 1, find the people you hate the most, i.e. Sword Dragon. Step 2, shoot them regardless of what the field looks like. That'll be BR5 burn number 2.
Shots.
Wow, shots fired.
No,
okay.
To add on to what Manny was saying, it also really depends on time dilation. Because, like, again, using B-R as a demonstration, if time dilation would have been 0 in B-R5, the amount of dreads we had on the field would have been would probably been 2-shotting Titans every single cycle. So then if there's high time dilation, then your dread cycles aren't going to matter as much, like in BR5, where Doomsdays were only ones really doing the big damage. So if you have to know how your ships are going to function on the server as well.
Yeah, I have to tell you kind of caught me unaware there. Like in BR, I initially started primarying dreads. I didn't realize how much you guys were going to drop and that tie-dye was going to get that bad. Had I known that it was going to get that bad, I would have started like straight out on Titans. But I was like, okay, they dropped. This is probably what they're bringing, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and clear some dreads off the field because tie-dye isn't that bad. And then once I saw everything else drop in, I was like, oh my God, I just ripped all these
You're like, rip.
on dreads.
It was pretty much that entire first wave. If you watch the videos that have been sped up of BR5, that is actually one of the, it's very good of you to admit that. It was one of the key points, I think, in that battle was when that initial wave of N3 and PL Titans fired their first Doomsday primarily against the CFC and Russian dreadnoughts. Then the CFC Titans came in, CFC and Russian ones, and fired their Doomsdays only against the Titans.
Oh, they came in and they were like,
the
Doomsdays
it was
are
sad times.
I was extremely giddy when I saw the Doomsday start going off on dreads.
But I was a little proud that you dumped. I was a little proud you dumped 4 DDs into my carrier at least.
I knew you run bonuses on your Archons. So I was like, he's gone. Nope, no, dead. And I wanted to make sure with time dilation that your fleet of carriers would have enough time to get reps. But I mean, the weird thing about it is we actually I wasted I think 6 Doomsdays on the first Titan we killed because I wanted to make sure that it died. Because if we would have wasted that first salvo of Doomsdays, then it would have been a pretty bleak outcome, or I think like morale wise.
We did manage to restrain ourselves, though, in terms of like going after the equivalent of Sword Dragon. Is like we pointedly left Shrike to last or close to last until things were already done because we knew that he was like super tanked. So
that was kind of me and Laz have both FC'd super fights and Titan fights before, but nothing like B-R. And it was a little bit of a learning experience. Having to manage that many DDs and taking consideration how many incoming DDs and about when they're going to cycle, plus, taking in consideration the amount of tie-dye and everything else, it was pretty insane to like get a grasp on the whole, your DPS output versus incoming DPS and when you need to sustain, when you need to, it was pretty intense.
Victor Fell brings up in chat something else that's a major strategic impact there is that we learned from the previous battles where like the Russians had dropped a bunch of capitals and we had spammed the system with too many subcaps that we realized that the subcaps in that meta, because supercaps are so ridiculously balanced and everything's peachy
like
with sentry drones. Exactly. In BR5, we had learned from that previous lesson that subcaps were essentially useless in that fight because great game design. And we just sent our fleets, we kept them out intentionally and had them running around camping all of the N3PL form-up and reinforcement systems. So instead of having subcaps, and there were just all dreads, titans, everything else, and there was no opportunity to reinforce anything that didn't have a jump drive.
Yeah,
so thank you, Victor, for reminding us.
Yeah, props to you guys. Laz schooled me that day, and I mean, like across the board, like with the way he played it in system, the way he played it around, like I straight up got schooled, and it was hubris on my part because like it was like 2 weeks before I turbo dunked like 500 dreads on head, so I had the hubris going.
The Wrecking Ball was a brilliant strategy. I mean, the thing is that you were one of the first developers of the Slowcat fleet. You had probably some of the most experience of using Slowcats, which for our new viewers are sentry assisting Archons, heavily tanked in sort of a circle jerk rep thing. And then Manny came up with something that he called the Wrecking Ball, which basically stepped up the game of the Slowcat fleet by including a whole pile of super carriers and Titans in the middle of it, such that you couldn't jam any of the carriers that were doing the reps. It was just unstoppable unless a completely superior force came over the top and chopped it to pieces. So having that hubris was reasonable because why would you expect suddenly the CFC and the Russians to drop 80 Titans or whatever on you, whatever ridiculous amount it was? I know it's just it worked for months. It was a brilliant doctrine you came up with.
Well, and BSR5 was a huge, like, I can't take credit for all of that because I mean, like, Sword Dragon was managing the Doomsdays. Like, basically, we were all, myself and the Russians and everyone were all in a separate mumble, and basically everyone was just telling Sword Dragon how many Doomsdays we had left, and then he would I guess had a calculator or something, and he's like, all right, well, go ahead and drop those. I mean, there's probably a much better way of doing it, and that's actually probably something we should look into with the way Eve is right now, and I don't see it ever getting past tie-dye without some huge overhauls. But I mean, all the PL, like I've talked to a bunch of PL guys after BR, and then they're like, yeah, as soon as we saw the 25, or I think we had 25 carriers on jump in. As soon as we saw the 25 carriers jump in, and I had every single carrier fit a Sino, and they said as soon as they saw 25 Sinos pop up, they're like, yeah, shit's about to go fucking down.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was a little struck by it. I just didn't see you guys dropping that much.
Everybody convinced themselves that the CFC would, like, that's the danger of a self-fulfilling prophecy is that people buy into their own Kool-Aid, that like the CFC will never drop, they're never going to do this, like it's just not going to happen, and then when it does come, it's a big surprise. So
You're like, oh,
it was awesome, guys. Props for it. Yeah, I like to fight people that are hard to beat. I think fighting people that are easy to beat is just, it's no fun. It's not a challenge. So to walk into a fight like that and like get your ass kicked, even though you fought as hard as you possibly could, it was awesome. So props.
Well, it was kind of a nice situation because, like, this is one of the things that you can't really change in terms of game mechanics. When you play games with people, Manny had been, for our viewers, Manny had been sort of coming at the CFC in one way or the other for years. But, we have developed enough of a relationship as basically frenemies, as people are pointing out in chat, that, one of the things that people forget about BR5 is that, like, the moment that it was over and all of PL's assets were locked in a station, Graf Telkin hits me up and is like, and I'm like, dude, I want your shit. Like, I'm going to just ask Razor to set you guys blue, and you just very quietly, like, don't let anybody know, just get all your crap out of there.
So everyone in chat is asking, if you're looking for hard fights, why are you fighting Brave?
Oh!
That's what everyone in chat is asking.
So we're kind of chilling out, just kind of having fun in the lull that Eve is in right now. But so Brave newbies they're newbies, and so it doesn't appear to be much of a challenge. But usually, most fights, PL is going into the fight with 70 to 100 actual people fighting 400 to 600 actual people. Now, we might be using capital sometimes or so on and so forth, but I can tell you it's quite an intense experience to walk into that kind of a storm with all of those people shooting you and like trying to overcome those insurmountable odds and win. It's exciting. It's really exciting fighting that kind of odds.
I really need to get a PL specific spin zone.
I was going to say, I was just about to say.
We entered the spin zone, guys. Like the guys in chat called it, and we went there.
But, everyone's talking about them farming Brave, but this is, in my opinion, the best thing for Brave because there's nowhere else they're going to get this type of experience. There's nowhere else. They're going to have no other way to grow their FCs, and their FCs make a lot of mistakes right now. And the only way to fix that is to lose ships.
But you look at the flip side, though. Sorry.
No, you go. That's what I was saying. I was about to interrupt you.
You look at the flip side, though, and like people are like, well, then why are you just farming Brave? Like Brave has come out successfully and won a lot.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
It's not easy. It's not like PL's just going in and being like, bored, fight, you guys are dead, we win, sorry.
Yeah, we see them, they've really improved at the FC level and at the individual pilot level. Like, they've done really well. And I think it's been fun for everybody. Despite rumors and everything, we're really not trying to destroy them or take their space. We're just, milking fights.
Well, yeah, because everybody wants catch, right? Catch is such great space.
Oh, yeah.
We all need more sovs. So,
want that space, though.
Get on
it's
in
the
there.
Jewel of Nullsec.
The Jewel of Nullsec. Catch. Yeah.
Mitten sits in Mittani daily and
I wish I had catch. If only I had catch.
And plots the demise of the people of catch.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But that's actually a good segue into a question that one of our guys in chat asked, which was if I've been following, speaking of Reddit-based organizations full of newbies, how is Karma Fleet doing, which is, of course, the entity that was led by Marconius Porkbutt, who left Brave and came over to the dark side. They're huge now, actually. They've been doing very well. They've crossed more than 600 members. Marconius and Ted McManfist have been working together to essentially revive and unfuck the Goonswarm Mentor program. And they've been doing really well. There's been no AOXing problems. All the things that people said were going to happen didn't. They seem to be having a grand old time and have become sort of a cultural unit. I think it's kind of interesting because talking politics here for a bit. Again, this is not quite Spin Zone, but I'll fire it up anyway, just because it's me talking about politics. Of course, it's Spin. During the Fountain War was one of the first clashes that we had with a Reddit-based community. Was the Goon Swarm and the CFC fighting against Test. Not that Nystrik would know anything about this.
No, I know nothing.
But we had a lot of propaganda going back and forth. But one of the first things that happened there was the faction warfare Reddit group Flooded actually ended up fighting with the CFC.
I know, we were
Test.
so mad. And by I mean like me personally.
Yeah, there was a fair degree of sort of bitter infighting there, but Flooded wasn't in Goonswarm. So one of the things that's interesting about this, from me, like culturally speaking, is despite all the propaganda and all the Kool-Aid and all the whatever, all the finger pointing on both sides, and Karma Fleet has a very open recruitment policy. You can pretty much just join, and they'll shoot you if you suck or whatever, but it's not really a big deal. Is that independent of any like Mittani string pulling or what have you, people are able from that online community to come over and see how we run things and how we do things in the CFC and in Goonswarm, and find out that we are monsters and we're terrible people and we do oppress them and we do put guns to the back of their head and force them to vote exactly how we tell them to on the CSM, or else they're pretty much chained to their computers. It's basically a sweatshop. I mean, it's terrible. In order to have all these red shirts, I basically we lie to the Redditors. They join Karma Fleet expecting that they're going to have fun and get lots of reimbursement, and then they're basically chained to their desks making red shirts for me that we then get to wear on the show.
Paging Der Herder. We need an aid flotilla in Declan right now. Stat.
Exactly. Come send help to poor Karma Fleet. But no, they're doing really well. I've been very happy with them. Do we have other questions, Nystrik?
We do, but let's do one of the giveaways, and then we can answer one of those questions. Sort of while
I keep getting pinged to ask Manny why Waffles is just SBU'd W-4.
And see, I agreed to come on this show as a distraction, so that way we can secret plot.
Smart.
Oh no!
Yeah, you've all been rused.
That's pretty awesome. I have to actually go see where W-4 is.
Let's. Is
that the one in Cloud Ring, the one in Delve, or the one in Branch? Where did they SBU?
You are not allowed to know. It's a distraction. Hello?
It is a distraction. I'm confused. Color me distracted. All right.
I don't know. Like, Waffles are like literally our retarded little stepbrothers, and they just run around doing like random things in random places. And half the time we're like, "What the fuck did you guys just do?" So who knows? I'm like, they could try to headshot VFK tomorrow for all I know.
Oh God! Hold on a moment. Sorry. I had there was a little slip up there on the stream, guys. I was looking at something that Java Junkie was telling me on Skype. You all got to see it because I clicked over to wonder what on earth he was saying, and so everyone who was on the show briefly vanished. That is entirely my fault. But we're back now. I don't know why they let me run this damn thing. All right, so let's give something away.
Yeah, we're giving away a Svipple, I'm assuming. The terrible.
Are we going to do a Svipple? Okay, we'll do another Svipple. I'm sick of giving away Svipples, so next week we'll give away something else. We'll give away one Svipple. We'll give away a Confessor because it looks better, and I'm sick of saying Svipple. And we'll come up with something cool to give to our subscribers after these two giveaways. You're welcome to suggest things. We gave away an Orthrus to our subscribers last time. Great ship. And, we want to reward people who are supporting us and are obeying Hypnokitten.
So this year, so this weekend, we're giving out an IBIS to subscribers.
An IBIS, yes, absolutely. It's a very high value ship.
Okay, so our keyword is going to be Hypnokitten.
Hypnokitten.
One word, all lowercase, etc.
All right, everybody. So go ahead, and you do have to be following the stream. So type Hypnokitten. I will put myself into the running here by typing it out for everybody to see as an example.
I take out staff, admins, and moderators.
I want to win I actually don't want to win a Svipple because, seriously, like, what are you even thinking?
So one of the questions while everyone's typing that out, we'll give them a couple minutes while we let everyone kind of rant about this. If the HP grind of Sov goes away, what purpose do supers have? What purpose could they have?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
Manny, since you seem to be the expert in terms of what might or might not be happening in terms of the Sov revamp, why don't you let us know? What do you think?
I've been asking myself that same question, and I'm not quite sure with their current bonuses and everything how they'll fit in. I think the SMAs and their utilities are still really strong. Their ability to remote rep and carry large amounts of ships in their SMA and have large fleet hangars. Those things will have higher value, I think, for PL, certainly since Phoebe, having lots of Titans and Supers to be able to stash all our goodies in and move those around has been so clutch. So I'm not quite sure, but I think it will definitely create a situation where the community puts even more pressure on the CCP to rework this super carry and the Titan to where they can fit in a meaningful, not overpowered way into what will be the new meta.
Just like Ishtar's.
Right.
Yeah. I'm very much let them dock. I don't know what's going to happen because I have no idea what the new subsystem is going to be like. I'll tell you what, if it is a single point conflict like the existing Dominion system, then you're still going to have the biggest pile possible of caps and super caps on top of the other one, whatever. And if there's some sort of king of the hill thing or king of multiple hills or whatever the hell, hopefully we'll find out on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever they're going to release the damn blog.
I'm hoping Monday because TMC Live is Monday, and I'm hoping
it'd be good
to
have something
have
to
it.
discuss.
But yeah, I wanted something to talk about, please.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and roll them dice and give away a Svipple.
Oh.
Let's see if I can make Nystrik squirm.
No, stop it! I don't like it.
Not happy.
It's weird.
This one from 6 to 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna roll.
All right.
Oh God. Hungarian Superman, subscriber and follower, you've won.
Congratulations on your very first, or maybe it's not your first. Svipple.
You're including mods and the giveaways, right?
No.
You should be. From now on, please. Please.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just us.
I
thought it was just us. I didn't realize that some of our
subs started
That's
delegating mods.
I did last week.
didn't mention
I did
it out
today, so I will.
But I've toned down Hitlerbot, and I have assigned some mods.
Okay, you never
subscriber base mods.
I did not know that, so I apologize, mods.
It just happened at 5 a.m. this morning when
we needed to do this to make sure that Mythical Myth didn't win
another
a 5th giveaway in a row.
Man.
Yeah, seriously. Dude, just every time we fucking roll those dice, he comes up. So maybe when we give away a Confessor in a few moments, he'll be the winner there. I'm actually kind of surprised that people didn't massively interrupt the giveaway with HypnoKitten when we're invoking HypnoKitten's name, but whatever, that's good. Maybe you guys know the drill. Message the channel with your Eve character name, and we'll get that to you ASAP. Yep.
If you don't, then we can't help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you don't actually send the channel a message, not the chat, but the actual channel a mail, we won't be able to contract you to your Eve guy because we'll have no idea who it is. So there you go.
Okay, so we're giving away another Svipple, I'm assuming?
No, we're going to give away a Confessor because I'm sick of saying Svipple.
Okay, and this is for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to follow the channel at the very least. If you're not a follower, go fuck yourself. Basically, we're not going to give you anything.
Wow.
That's how it works. If you want to give something, all you have to do is press a button.
Laying on the wall.
Yeah, I lay it on down. Let's say King of the Hill because what the fuck? All one word. King of the Hill.
Yeah, one word. King of the Hill, all lowercase. There you go.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Again, tomorrow, by the way, guys, if you are bored and you want something to do, we'll be doing Sub Sunday tomorrow. I'll be doing a few hours. I think Nystrik also does a few hours. And it'll be sporadic through the day, most likely. And typically we just play whatever we feel like, or if the sub wants to see a certain game and that person has the game, then you guys can suggest it, etc.
For sure. And we'll, if you guys want to suggest something that we do within the game in particular, that's cool too. We'll just, fuck around, play games.
I think really at this point, I'm trying to figure out what we want to give away for subscribers. But in terms of most overpowered, awesome, just amazing ship that currently exists, it's really hard to beat the Orthrus. I mean, it's still pretty much the biggest, most OP. Whoa! Skeptic Nerd Guy has bombed us with HypnoKitten and completely interrupted my train of thought. Thank you, I guess, Skeptic Nerd Guy. I guess we're getting towards the sub hype territory before we have the sub giveaway. I don't know what it's going to be. I think in order. So let us guys know what you think. I like to give away ships because hulls are cool. I like them to be valuable and useful because giving you something like, I don't know.
We've seen a lot of TFIs lately, or maybe TFI.
I don't know. It depends. What we'll do is we'll turn the channel to subscriber only in a bit before we give the giveaway and let them talk in chat and let us know what they would be interested in. But in the meantime, for King of the Hill, how many people do we have? How many have?
Not as many as we had. So I'm gonna let people.
We yammered a lot during the last giveaway. People do need
to
so
there was another question. It's an honest question. What's a good way to keep yourself from burning out? I find that I can't keep playing for more than a few months. I've flown with various court groups and alliances, and I enjoy EVE, but I find that I still don't know jack about the game. I've been playing off and on since 2009. As a newish player, I'm going to answer a little bit. I don't think there's a way to stop the burnout. I think everyone goes through cycles of playing and not playing. And I think even people who've been playing this game since the beginning are still like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
that might just be me.
No, that's reasonable. You never stop learning EVE. And here's how I managed to not get burned out. First of all, I don't play EVE. So problem solved. Thank you, Dragon Sunstar Sunsor, for obeying Hypnokitten and interrupting my joke. But no, I actually... the thing that keeps me engaged in... Yeah, actually really wasn't a joke. What keeps me engaged with a game that I don't play is challenges, finding a challenge and doing something that I haven't done before, pushing myself, finding something to be interested in. And when you don't have a challenge, when you don't find something that you're engaged with, you will burn out because you're not doing something that gives you a feeling of agency and mastery and accomplishment, at least if you're a big overachiever nerd like I am. So, I go through phases basically where I have a pet project, a new organizational design, or some sort of thing that I'm trying to do, like an org reform or whatever. When I have a challenge, I'm super engaged. When I don't have a challenge, I'm playing Marvel Heroes or something else, basically. Yeah. So, I mean, that's normal.
From I've played this game, I think, 10 years. The biggest thing to do is find a good community that you're part of, and then join their out-of-game chat services, and then go play regular games, like other games besides EVE Online with them. And that's one of the big things that I do, is I just play other games with some of the people I play EVE with, and just be part of that community. And most of the communities in EVE, they do have like other games mumbles or other games comms, where they just go and play other games like Battlefield, etc.
Yeah, like the game has changed, but the community sticks together, and we see that all the time on Goonstorm Mumble, as we actually have a whole separate Mumble for gaming, and people, corporations, squads. It's your friends who you're playing games with, and when shit is on the line and the chips are down and there's a huge fight, everybody drops what they're doing and plays EVE. But a lot of times we're playing LOL, a lot of times we're playing H1Z1 or whatever, and not actually playing EVE actively. EVE in a lot of ways is more like a sport, right? Like you are engaging in a competitive process. You have a team, assuming that you've joined an organization. You're fighting some other team. It's less like, you're not playing football all the time if you're a football player. You're playing it on game day. You practice and you train and you do these other things. But at this point, the analogy falls apart because I can't really sports ball my way.
I was going to say, do you even know how to sports?
Do I even know how to sports ball? No, I really don't. Unless I can participate in it indirectly, it bores the hell out of me. I don't spectator in general.
I completely agree. It's all about the community. And I like to think of EVE as like a giant soap opera, but instead of watching it, we're all actors in it. And the metagame is really exciting. And you just got to find that thing that like entertains you and get into it. But yeah, like Laz said and Mittens has said and Nystrik has said, you have to get involved in the community and just make friends and stuff, and that'll
let's get involved with giving away a confessor.
Yeah.
How many people do we have signed up for it? Are we
lot?
Better? A lot. Okay, see,
209.
Confessors are better than Svipples because
Malcolm. Yes. You have won. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And non-subscribers. See, non-subscribers can win too, but it is still rigged.
The game is slightly rigged at the very least, but not completely. So absolutely, please go ahead and message the channel with the EVE guy that we're going to contract the confessor to in Jita. And now we are going to turn the chat channel over to subscribers only. Nystrik, if you will do the honors.
Laz did it last time.
Or Laz, do you want to do the honors? Do I just type subscribers only or something? How does this work? The room is now in subscribers only mode.
There we go. Bam.
Excellent.
Yep. And Java actually messaged me and suggested that Manny should get to pick the sub only giveaway as our guest. And I think that's a good idea.
I agree.
I think
say it tight and I'm kicking you out of Skype.
No, I think TFI is a good one. Yeah,
I think TFIs are great, guys. If you are one of, I'm not going to call you Mittens Kittens. If you are one of our subscribers,
if you are Mittens Kittens,
Jesus Christ! Somebody is saying Mittens Kittens. Stop! Fucking
Nystrik, what you can
Jesus,
do is
no.
instead of choosing a keyword, just set it to the other option where
active.
Just set it active.
That's a good point. I forgot about that.
So now, guys, instead of spamming the channel, all you have to do is type in chat to enter the giveaway.
Type anything you want. Doesn't matter.
Type anything. It doesn't matter as long as you are active in chat as a subscriber. Because this is Manny's guest star show, and he has been kind enough to let us know about the rumored King of the Hill system and remind me to shoot our CSMs for not actually telling me anything at all.
Well, I think Manny that on a podcast.
What? Huh?
I think Manny found out about it on a podcast, or he did a podcast.
It's really hard to know what's going on. Like, I have no clue. I'm just making jokes about CSM links. I still should probably shoot our CSMs anyway, just for good measure. Otherwise, they'll get uppity. All right. So people are saying vote for Manny and Indy. Vote Manny, Indy, Scion, all of our guys. You can remember, if you are a member of the CFC, the state loves you, and we are absolutely delighted to have you exercise your freedom of choice to do exactly what we tell you to at all times, and vote what the Central Committee has chosen as what is best for our people. So please exercise your freedoms by doing exactly what we tell you with no deviation whatsoever.
I'm spamming. Right. We're Zorchaining. Don't judge.
I'm not judging at all. Zorchain is a very honorable tradition amongst our people. All right, boys and girls, let's go ahead. How many people do we have on this that are in
260,
the running?
Apparently.
What?
Wait, we have more subs?
I think. I mean, I might have to. I don't know. It's not. I don't know if the giveaway thing is.
I think you might need to refresh it, or just roll. Just roll it until you get a sub.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure we don't have 260 subscribers.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused.
Right,
I was like, what?
I mean, I know we were getting spammed by the fucking Hypno Kitten earlier, but that was people just fucking with us. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Just roll to get a sub.
Okay, I see. Yeah, it entered a couple people. It entered a lot of non-subs, which is...
All right, well, why don't we just stop and have everybody spam Zorchains again? Like, just...
No, it's fine.
Hold on, let me reopen it. Let me close. Let me open.
No, everyone's going to type again, probably.
Sorry. Yeah, everyone's going to type again. Sorry.
All right, everybody, Zorchain, let's do this for real. We're going to go ahead and... God, we subbed because this is... Digi is dropping truth bombs. We subbed because 1, loud noise, 2, guest star, 3, interrupting me with kittens. I'm...
Real reasons.
This is basically all because I cringed a while back, or like when we started getting subs the other day, and said that like I didn't want to have that, and now we're gonna have to be dealing with that.
It's such a horrible name.
I actually managed to turn my phone off this time. Look at me being all professional.
Look at you.
Yeah,
if it actually decides to catch on, though, I think we're gonna need a sub for it, or maybe change the sub icon.
We're definitely going to need a sub emote, and we also need a wizard hat.
Fuck.
That was not my suggestion. That was someone else's suggestion.
I'm not sure whether you guys don't hear this because you don't have the thing, but that was the fucking Hypno Kitten going off again. Basically, whenever you hear me like
freak
out, I don't know
why
I picked like the most annoying noise in the universe. I should get like.
You can change the noise. There are lots of noises.
I'm not very good with these computer machine things. I have other people to do the computer machines thing for me. So
I'm so happy my brother just walked in and he has food.
Okay, what kind of food? Is it Chipotle? Can I have Chipotle?
It's
H2O4 SOE. What is this? Is some chemistry thing. This person is obeying Hypno Kitten. They probably just want to troll me. Probably squirm again.
Okay, so we're stuck at about 54.
Yeah, sure. 54
so I'm gonna go ahead and roll.
Let's go ahead and give them a TFI. Thank you for supporting the stream and spamming me with Hypnokittens over Oreo. Because that's exactly how I wanted to spend my Saturday afternoon.
Of course, duh.
Oh yeah, new sub.
Oh god, you're gonna make me pronounce this. Noaga Nelson. You have won?
Noaga Nelson, congratulations. Thank you for being one of our subscribers, not one of Mitten's kittens.
And it's not Mythic Myth.
It isn't Mythic Myth. Finally, at long last, Mythic Myth has not actually won something on the meta show. Yes, and he's very upset. He's so upset. Excellent.
Congratulations on your fine space vessel.
Yes, well, thank you, Manny, for suggesting a Tempest Fleet issue. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully, in the future,
it's been fun.
Have you back? We'd love to have you back.
Anytime.
You can come once you hopefully get elected to the CSM as part of the CFC ballot, which everyone will be voting for with complete unity by total individual choice. You will be on there. We hope that you will win. And then you can come visit the meta show and let us know what the fuck is going on up there in Reykjavik. Because
we'll do, anytime you guys want me. And next time I'll have a webcam.
Excellent.
Okay, cool.
Well, we can make you part of our regular rotation if you were entertained with our ridiculous little community. Wonderful. We're delighted to have you. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and call the show off now. We're going to be done for the evening. We've been going for almost two full hours. I want to thank all of our subscribers for spamming HypnoKitten and obeying HypnoKitten. And Manny for coming and deigning to grace us with his presence. We will see you all next week at exactly the same time, and hopefully the recording of this will be up on the Mittani.com shortly. Laz, do you have another show coming up soon? I think we've got...
not tonight. Tomorrow we do have Sub Sunday, and I will probably try to go on around midday U.S. time, probably around 4 or 5 U.S. time zone, around my normal stream time. And also, I do have a tentative yes from Vince Draken to come onto the Meta Show
Awesome.
to have a chat with us
Cool.
for the next time we want to talk about it.
Hopefully Vince has a webcam. I would love to see Vince's smiling face. And maybe, I don't know if he's actually gonna come to FanFest with us. That would be fun.
After FanFest, Mittani, or maybe even before, we're gonna get you to shave.
So I just saw in chat actually somebody was asking who the cute girl is, and one of our subscribers, C.R. Nilsson says the cute girl is Nystrik until Mittani shaves.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah. No, I mean it's true. That's why I've got this terrible facial hair, because if I don't have it, I look like I'm 12.
Yeah.
So
I have mine, so I can save an extra 15 minutes in the morning.
I think Vince would be a great guest. You guys should totally have him.
We will.
From
Absolutely.
the Sports Barn.
For sure.
We'll go ahead and get everybody on and have a good old time. Make it more of a null sec meta show than just, I'm going to ask our graphics guys to get us a spin zone graphic with either a PL or an NC dot logo floating around the TCUs. Yeah, exactly. All right, boys and girls. Well, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you around, and thank you for subscribing and supporting us. And we will see you next week at the exact same time.